But another thing that I think a lot of people, one of the biggest topics that people don't like to talk about in finance and death is a will.
Mhm.
I, being a business owner and having a lot of obligations to employees and things like that, forced me to be in a place where, there's something set up, in terms of insurance and in terms of, where my equity in the company is allocated, all that kind of stuff. But for the average person, the idea of planning out your money or getting life insurance or doing things that would prepare for a moment where you're no longer here feels, again, I think like an acknowledgement that that will happen. And interestingly, I've found that once you do those things and you know that, like, I know that, and I'm actually still in the process, I can't say I've finished, but I'm well into that process. But knowing that I'm setting up a situation in which if I am in a plane that goes down, yes, it will be incredibly devastating for people who love me, but at the very least, they won't be worrying about money is just such an enormous relief, you know?
Well, it's also, yeah, not only is it personal freedom for you, it's a huge weight lifted off your shoulders, but also people who love you are going to be tortured by your death. Don't torture them with bureaucracy when you die, which is essentially what you're doing if you don't have these things figured out.
Do you think that funerals and the process of dying has become so expensive? Obviously, in the beginning, it was a business and it was a
Mhm.
niche that was created to, make a profit. But do you think that now part of the reason is it's so expensive is because people will do anything not to deal with it themselves and they want to like get away from it as much as possible?
I'll say that funeral directors in general, and as far as like secrets of your industry, funeral directors themselves, the person who's helping you when someone comes in and mom has died, they're not making a ton of money. Funeral owners and big corporate funeral companies are. And they obviously have a vested interest in their shareholders and keeping prices high. They've done studies that found that if you walk across the street to another funeral home or just call around, you can save thousands of dollars on the exact same service. Exact
Mm,
same service, especially the one that makes me the most upset is something called a direct cremation. And a direct cremation, for the most part, is the simplest, easiest, cheapest thing that you can purchase from a funeral home. It's just they pick up mom, they take her, they cremate her, they give you the ashes back. And at my funeral home, that's $895. There are other funeral homes in LA where it's $4,000 for exactly the same thing. Maybe you like that person better, but other than that, but I don't think so. I think you like me better. Same service. So be aware of that. Be aware that you can call around and ask for prices and say what you want, and that's not disrespectful to mom. To
right.
and for most
Oh, hell no.
people,
My mom would be like, you better get a
exactly.
good deal on this shit.
Exactly. Most people, I mean, my mom is, of course, one of the like put me in a hefty bag on the curb sort of people. I'm like, no, mom, we're not doing that. I love you. But it's not, there's so much love and respect and joy that I've seen in funerals where folks come in, there's just an unembalmed, unchemically preserved body. It's just mom looking dead in a lovely, simple way, as maybe she should. And you hold her hand, you walk back, and you see her be pushed into the cremation machine. It's almost a little ritual. You can push the button and start the machine. You get the ashes back, and that's $1,800 as opposed to $15,000 for the casket, the burial, the hearse, the whole deal, the makeup, the flowers.
The thing that's always kind of boggled my mind about that particularly too is like when you go through that whole process of like making the corpse look like a weird marionette, like they don't look better. They look worse than if they just look dead because you're like, you look like some really, really scary doll from a horror movie.
I think a lot of millennials feel that way though because they just don't relate to that kind of made up, preserved dead body. And they either don't want to see a dead body at all, or they want to see mom looking like mom, who just
Well,
happens to be dead.